Hello, Hockey Nation Live fans. This is STRIATIC with a Kraken preseason report recorded October 5th for the Hockey Nation Live Network. Today we're going to talk about preseason games 3, 4, and 5, the roster cuts the team has made, and we're also going to have a little report on Shane Wright's progress in solidifying his position as a starter for the Seattle Kraken. So preseason games 1 and 2 saw the Kraken carry out two very dominant shutout wins at home against AHL opposition. But Game 3 saw a very young and inexperienced Kraken squad travel to Vancouver for a dose of reality when exposed to some real NHL talent. Goalie Joey Daccord started the game and struggled, but was also somewhat abandoned at times by a Kraken defense and penalty kill that seemed totally mesmerized by the passing and playmaking ability of Vancouver's top players. Newly signed Russian import Andrei Kuzmenko looked all-world as he registered 2 goals with 2 assists from Elias Peterson and 1 assist each from Hughes and Miller. Vancouver scored yet another goal using high-tempo offensive zone passing to discombobulate the Seattle defense and go up 3-0, but that goal was overturned on a coach's challenge. It was offside well before the play developed. And that seemed to be the break the Kraken needed, with Ty Cartier responding to make the game 2-1. On the power play, Shane Wright delivered a extremely hard wrister that Thatcher Demko was unable to handle with his glove hand. It kind of popped out to the side of the net, and Cartier displayed some excellent hands. First, he put a backhand into Demko's pad, and then he spun around and he collected his own rebound and chipped it over Demko's glove side. It looked a very excellent goal for him, and also on the shot that created the rebound from Shane Wright. Very impressive for his first point as a Seattle Kraken. At this point, Vancouver came back on the power play, and there was some more incredibly precise, high-tempo offensive zone passing on this power play. High, low, high. The play went through Kuzmenko to Tanner Pearson, who buried a low slot shot past Daccord. Kuzmenko looks fantastic and is supercharging an already very impressive Vancouver power play. The Kraken were kind of saved by the bell a bit with the period ending, and did seem to settle down in the second. There was a goalie switch where Joey Daccord was replaced by Martin Jones. That seemed to calm the team down. It was a scoreless second period. And then in the third period, a Will Borgen shot deflected by Cole Lind past Artur Silovs put the Kraken back within reach. And then some deft passing under like a double team defensive pressure along the boards to a wide open John Hayden in the center slot tied the game for the Kraken. Hayden had already had 2 fights at this point, so to add a goal on top of that made this a very impressive game for him. This brought the game to overtime, and the Kraken were just being very much dominated by a very much more skilled Vancouver Canucks team. But Ryan Donato he skated end to end to end, eventually was set free on a breakaway where it looked like his legs were about to fall off. And he actually did fall down while burying his breakaway chance to win the game for the Kraken. It was a great comeback win, and I think a good learning experience for the younger Kraken players to get shell-shocked early and then to adapt. Also, the power play was dominated early, and it managed to bounce back with 2 important penalty kills in the third period. So a very good experience against superior opposition for the Kraken. Preseason Game 4 for the Kraken saw Vancouver coming to Climate Pledge Arena in an attempt at revenge over the Kraken's comeback victory in Game 3. The Canucks didn't dress Peterson or Kuzmenko, but they did have a pretty decent lineup with JT Miller, Bo Horvat, Tanner Pearson, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and Tyler Myers, as well as Thatcher Demko playing the whole game. The first period saw no goals for either team, but the Kraken definitely dominated the first period, peppering Demko with shots and only allowing 3 shots against Philip Grubauer. Demko looked heroic at times, but he did manage to clear the first period with a clean sheet. In the second period, the Kraken opened the scoring. There was Adam Larsson made a great pinch and fished a puck out for Andrei Burakovsky, who immediately sent it to the high slot for Matty Beniers, who buried it for his second goal in 2 preseason games. Then later in the third period, we just started seeing some mistakes from Vancouver. Tyler Myers made a bad back pass behind the net that Oliver Bjorkstrand just jumped on and immediately threw to the slot for Alex Wennberg to score a goal. And then later on, Alex Wennberg stuffed a Vancouver breakout and in the neutral zone and pushed the puck forward to a flying Yanni Gourde, who came in on Demko and got the third goal. Yanni would get a second goal, an empty netter later in the game, and Seattle would win 4-0. Philip Grubauer played the entire game and was impressive. I think part of what made his performance impressive for me was actually how few shots he had taken. Last year, the Kraken only allowed 17 shots in a very strong defensive performance, but last year there were some times where Grubauer, when not seeing a lot of offensive pressure, would kind of lose focus and let in the first shot on goal if it hadn't been a while since he'd faced one. So his focus throughout the game really impressed me and bodes well for future games. So a 4-0 shutout, pretty good. Also Grubauer did have, mostly had to make routine saves, but he did come across the net brilliantly to stuff Tyler Myers' net front, and he kind of doing the splits as he came over. Just a great display of skill and very confidence building from the goaltender who had struggled so much last year. On to preseason Game 5, which was a somewhat forgettable affair, which saw Seattle traveling to Calgary, and the big takeaway from this game was the goaltending. It was a 4-1 loss, and the first 3 goals from Calgary were from defenders. The first one saw Matty Beniers take a hard shot off of his leg from Chris Tanev, and the puck just bounced back to Tanev. Beniers was unable to block the second shot because he was, clearly in pain. Tanev took another shot and beat Jones clean. The next two goals were from Stone and Hanifin. Both of these were kind of point shots almost from the blue line, undeflected, which, while partially screened in some cases, you really would want Jones to be able to track and recover. The shots were at that kind of distance. And then the fourth Calgary goal was with Blake Coleman coming down and taking a shot kind of almost from the goal line. Jones failed to seal the post, and it went off of him into the net. I really think that there's a lot for Jones to look at in this game and to practice, both in terms of detecting and tracking screenshots and sealing up that post. Probably the one bright spot from the game was that Matty Beniers was able to come back from really being dinged by Chris Tanev, and eventually did score a power play goal on a right side one-timer, which he's been so good at in practice, and they were really trying to force in preseason Game 1. But here he was able to get it off and score, and that was his third goal in 3 preseason games. So just consistent offense from Matty Beniers, even in a losing effort here. And speaking of depressing, the Kraken did need to make some roster cuts. Cole Lind was put on waivers and cleared. So it looks like Carson Coleman is in very good position to take that right wing spot. Although the team did also sign Daniel Sprong to a 2-way deal. Jonas Donskoy looks like he might be injured, so he's also at right wing. So we'll see if that buys Sprong some time at the NHL level before getting sent down to the Firebirds. That'll be interesting to watch. Sadly, goaltender Magnus Hellberg was claimed by the Ottawa Senators. I really liked this guy in practice. He was, really jolly and happy, and he had the great goalie gear we mentioned in the last Kraken report. He also looked really solid in net for the half game. We did see him and posted a shutout in that half game. So good luck to him in Ottawa, but we'll definitely be missing his beautiful goalie gear. And if, he does get sent down by Ottawa when Matt Murray gets healthy again, I do hope that the Kraken exercise their priority and get him on the Firebirds. He's definitely an organizational asset. Lastly, I would like to give a short report about and some notes on Shane Wright's preseason. Today, in an interview with The Athletic, Ron Francis confirmed that Wright will be starting the season with the team, and also that he fully expects Wright to play the duration of the season with the Kraken. I think this is the right move. Wright has definitely looked at home against NHL opposition. There are definitely some things he needs to work on, in particular his face-offs. It's a typical problem for rookies, and apparently he has been working on face-offs after practice with Matty Beniers, with Morgan Geekie. And I think he also needs to work on his skating a little bit. In that 4-3 comeback win, he demonstrated some elite shooting talent by, that hard wrister that Demko couldn't handle that resulted in a rebound that Ty Cartier turned into a goal. But he also demonstrated some good straight line speed on a 200-foot back check. Earlier in the game, though, he had a good zone entry using his speed and some moves in open space, but his moves in open space kind of really slowed down his forward momentum and allowed Vancouver time to backtrack, and meant that he couldn't do as much with the puck once he was in the offensive zone. He doesn't use that linear crossover technique, or it doesn't seem to come naturally to him. The players like Matty Beniers and especially Connor McDavid use to generate explosive and deceptive speed on offense. He does have a lot of speed, like that 200-foot back check of his required a serious motor, but I'd like to see him work on his skating a little bit to make it a little bit more explosive and deceptive. All right, so that's it for my weekly Kraken report. Thanks for watching.